Hello, and this is Frederick Henry, and thank you for tuning into the Frederick Henry Podcast Show, and I want to thank you all. I'm so humbled by the experience of people downloading this, listening to it, responding to it, liking it. It's amazing. This is going to be short. I'm going to talk about the incident in Lafayette Park yesterday, and I noted at the time, I said to myself, and it was reaffirmed to me this morning when I looked at the videos on YouTube and on Twitter, that I was quite amazed that the protesters got into the park, were able to surround the park, were able to get ropes onto the statue, and had begun to pull it down. I'm asking the question, how does this happen? This is a federal park, federal statue, federal property, right across the street from the White House. Mainly white protesters. I noted that in the videos, with the face mask, because of the COVID and all that kind of thing, out there with ropes and all kinds of apparatus to take down the statue. Nobody responds. They got that far. And finally, a call goes out. The D.C. police respond in force. The park police respond in force, and they push the crowd back. The crowd resists. They push them back further and further from the park. They stop them from toppling the statue, and they try to get them to disperse. The protesters, mainly, it looked like college students who should be going to work and earning a living instead of tearing down the society that benefits them. Chanting Black Lives Matter, well, that's fine, but Black Lives Matter is just an annex to Antifa at this point, and I think the president should declare Black Lives Matter a terrorist organization as well as an extortionist organization, and we should get on top of who in the world is supporting that, including the corporations that, according to Laura Ingraham last night, are donated $1.6 billion to Black Lives Matter. Out of guilt, out of fear, or out of extortion. I don't know how in the world they did all that, but they did it. So the police in D.C. finally acted. They acted well. They acted professionally. They took down a few protesters who were attacking them, and they got the crowd to back off and save the statue. But my questions are a couple. Why did it take so long? Why weren't the police there in the first place? Why wasn't somebody appointed to each one of these statues in Washington, and as soon as they were attacked by the mob, to call in reinforcements? Why are we not using Homeland Security personnel, TSA, 1,000 standing around, also known as Transportation Security Agents, TSA? Why are they not being used to protect our monuments, reassigned? This is a war, folks. We have to use all our assets. We have to use all our people. We can't have thousands standing around. We have to get them out there and doing some productive work in the fact that our airports are closed down anyway, mainly. And these good folks, they're all good people, but we have to get them out there, the TSA people. And if they can't use a gun or they can't use a weapon or they're untrained, they can at least stand around the monuments. And when the crowd attacks, they can call in the reinforcements in terms of the park police and the federal marshals. Now, somebody on Twitter said, why is President Trump saying that he authorizes federal agents to arrest protesters or actually arsonists or anarchists or statue destroyers, whatever you want to call them? They're not civil disobedience. This is war, folks. This is war. Why does he have to authorize federal agents to arrest them? Number one, the government usually waits for the civil authority in the locality in which they're operating to act. That means the police department. And if the police department acts to protect federal property and to arrest trespassers and destroyers and arsonists and anarchists and all of that, fine and dandy. But we find out in D.C. they do not. They do not. Up until today, they do not. And so and even yesterday, they acted very slowly. They came out in force. They did a great job. Very professional. Very proud of them. But it took them forever to get there. Meanwhile, a lot of damage had been done to the statue, and it will have to be cleaned up and fixed up and repaired in the future months. So, why did it take so long? How come it's only the police? Why aren't the park police being used? Why are the federal marshals not being used? why are not the TSA people being used? We need to reallocate resources from places where there's an abundance of personnel into the danger zones, especially around our national monuments in Washington, D.C. And I heard someone yesterday on the Laura Ingraham show say that what she would do is arrest them for trespassing on federal property, arrest them for destroying a statue on federal property, arrest them for disobeying the orders of federal agents, and then bring them to court, and in a federal court, and arrest them and send them to a federal prison, and then put them in front of a federal judge, and then accuse them and hopefully convict them of destroying government property. This is not their property. This is not their statue. This is not some little trinket that's on Grandma or Nana's table. This is not personal property of theirs. This is our property. This is national property. This belongs to the people of the United States of America. And we, I believe, do not agree that you should be allowed to trash our possessions and to destroy our monuments. That is not your prerogative. And so I think we can join together as a people, as Ben Carson said last night. We have to speak up. We have to speak up forcefully. We have to say, end this, stop this, and to prevent it from happening again in the future to the best of your ability. I think that the president has that ability, but he is very reticent to use it against our citizen and citizen voters in the United States.